So I am very excited to have this business index. In fact, I had an opportunity in other countries where I worked, in Albania, for instance, where the American Chamber of Commerce had worked on a business climate index similar to this. The value I saw from previous experiences where there were such indexes as this is it provides really a baseline as to how the business community sees the environment, and it gives a very detailed, a very granular, and a very sort of data-oriented approach to thinking about the business environment. Certainly from the US Embassy's perspective, from my perspective, the goal is to try to see how we can help. And it's hard for us sometimes if you just hear anecdotally different perspectives, different views, different ideas. But if you have something that you can point to that says explicitly what are the concerns or issues, what are the opportunities, it's a much more effective tool. And so what I'm hoping is that we have an opportunity to use this in our dialogues with policymakers here in Mauritius, with businesses in the United States that might be thinking about doing business here, and also when we look at our own resources, how we can align our resources to support some of the issues that the businesses highlighted. For instance, when you look at this report, there's three things that they talk about as far as factors that they consider. One is availability of finance, one is the availability of people, skilled people, and one is just sort of the operational opportunities, the ease of working with the government. And I think as they look at those specific elements, thinking about how we can address those. As I mentioned in my remarks, when we look at sort of human resources from the US Embassy's perspective, we want to think about how we can support that, whether it's helping in developing relationships between educational institutions in the United States and those here, or if there's ways to bring educators here, such as the Fulbright program, or to send individuals back to the United States for additional training and then have them come back. So we can align some of the activities we're doing to support that. When it talks about the issue of financing, for instance, we did have an opportunity to bring somebody from our US Trade Development Agency who talks about and explains how financing can be done, who helps in companies or entrepreneurs that want to put together a business case, a business plan, advice, recommendations, give some ideas of how to look at financing and opportunities for financing. And so that's another example where we in the Embassy have tried to align some of our activities to the issues raised by businesses. And again, I would certainly encourage policymakers here in Mauritius, when they're thinking about the policies that they're developing to support business, how they can best do that. And so I hope that this really prompts a good positive dialogue, but I also hope that it continues into the future. So in other words, this year, 2023, we have a baseline of what are the perceptions from the business community, what are the things that could make that perception better, and then we can assess over time how we're all doing collectively, whether it's the business community, the international community, US Embassy, policymakers here on the ground. And so I think it's a real opportunity to sort of track and develop from here to take approaches that will benefit the business community for really all Mauritians.